So in total, I would say I weaned him within a week. There's like different emphasis on what cold turkey means. Either it's like immediately you cut it off. This others recommend a gradual decrease in the amount of times you're nursing them throughout like weeks and months, dropping feeds or decreasing the amount of ounces. But for me, it was just like within a week. I was like, okay, I pumped when absolutely necessary, which ended up being like 2 times a day, which was like first thing in the morning and then maybe a little bit in the middle of the day and then at night for his last bottle. And then I just experimented with giving him water right before bed instead of the milk. He took to it. It really wasn't such a battle to get him to not have milk. Like he wasn't so desperate or like desperate for it. I mean, I was looking at his like temperament, how like I guess upset he was, and he really wasn't upset. Like he was his same usual chill boy, except whenever I offered the boob, he would bite it and push it away. So like he was rejecting me. I have been rejected by my baby, and that was hard too, because I'm like, I'm not ready to wean now. This is what's actually meant to be, and God's timing, my baby's timing. Like again, he was a really good eater at this point. He was already eating like full meals, many snacks. So I knew that he was getting enough nutritionally, like he didn't really need my milk. I know there's some babies that are very, very picky eaters. They barely eat even at that age. And so maybe I feel like the milk is still more necessary, because how else are they gonna be nourished, if they're not eating much food otherwise. So that's basically what I did. I just pumped less than usual, or like for the less amount of time. I would still give him some milk, but I essentially first cut it from 4 ounces to 3 ounces, from 3 ounces to 2 ounces. So it was a gradual, but it was within that shorter time frame of a week. And this is also, again, leading up to when we're moving. Like this is the last like week and a half of when we are in our apartment and we have to be out. So it was just very like divine timing in a way, even though I fought against it at first. Yeah, learning to accept like what is actually happening, and my baby is choosing to wean himself. But the timing was impeccable and very stressful with moving and having to figure out weaning at the same time. And like we were gonna do a red-eye flight from Hawaii to here, North Carolina, and I'm like, what am I gonna do at night? I tried giving him like cow's milk. He didn't want it. Like he took a few sips, but that was it. So I was like, okay, he just doesn't really care for milk at this point. So we got by with water. At the end of this, or somewhere in here, I'll insert a clip of a couple of products that I bought just to help myself during this weaning process, because there is a hormonal crash with stopping breastfeeding. So yay, postpartum's already a hormonal roller coaster. So I bought a couple of tinctures. One it's called Baby Blues. I took this tincture when I first gave birth, that like initial hormonal crash right when you deliver your baby, just to get me through like those first few weeks of this, and feeling very all over the place mood wise. So yeah, I got that tincture just to help with that crash. And a lot of women experience a lot of like sadness or just mood swings. Thankfully, I did not really experience that. Again, these are just things I hear the most, like women saying, like this is the experience. And then I feel like I've been experiencing the total opposite of that spectrum, where I just like, I had a few moments where I'm like, I would think about my breastfeeding journey, and I think it was more so the grief of having to wean earlier than I wanted to, and because it wasn't on my terms. So I had moments where I was emotional and I would cry, but I didn't finish that bottle, that tincture, but I used it before and it was very helpful, and I think it's just a really good medicinal tool to have. And then the other tincture that I bought was a sage tincture, and sage dries up your milk. There's also a tea out there, but it's also a blend of sage, peppermint, I believe, and hibiscus. And those three, I guess, are all plants that drive the milk. But I took the sage tincture, just put it in the water, and I would do that like 2 to 4 times a day. And I also did not finish that bottle. It didn't take that much to decrease my milk supply. Thankfully, I didn't experience any real uncomfortable engorgement. Like there was a couple times where I felt like, okay, there might be a clogged duct coming on, but I made sure to pump. So like I had two pumps. I had this Spectra, which is like a more heavy duty pump, and that's typically what I would use. But with traveling, like I have limited suitcase space, and then also just the timing of my son choosing to wean, I felt like, oh, okay, I don't really need this heavy duty pump anymore. So I sent that to the Philippines, and I decided to just travel with my portable pump just in case I do have to pump for whatever reasons. And yeah, so like I would pump when I would feel a clogged duct coming on, and I took sunflower lecithin capsules as well, just like throughout like these few weeks where my milk really gradually decreased. But yeah, no crazy engorgement. Thankfully, I just made sure like if I had to express the milk, I did. If I had to pump like an ounce, I did, just to feel comfortable. And I want to stay safe from start to finish. It maybe took a total of like 3 weeks. I mean, technically a month to dry up my supply. Yeah, I don't have any more milk. And again, this was like another one of those emotional lows where just this realization like, oh, my breastfeeding journey is truly over. Like I have no more milk. I can't nurse him or pump even if I wanted to. And that was just, another round of grief, and just having to cry and release that, because like this is it, that was my breastfeeding journey. Like the chaos and all the ups and downs, the biting and everything we went through as a mom and son together, like yeah, we figured it out. Like we made it this long, we made it this far, and this was that round of biting is the one that broke me. But again, I feel like he actually just chose to wean himself. Typically I hear that doesn't happen, where babies don't choose to wean themselves until they are about 1.5 years, which was technically why I was waiting that long. I know some moms choose to breastfeed their babies much longer than that, and I'm like, I was never opposed to nursing him longer, like 2 years or more, but it was just kind of the timing, like, oh, I can maybe start experimenting with at least like not nursing him at night or something, but yeah, the timing kind of chose itself. It just felt like it was very divine timing of like our chapter coming to a close in our home in Hawaii, and then obviously starting a brand new chapter with moving to the Philippines. It was just a lot of change all at once, and having to navigate that, and it was a lot. So I guess now how my son has been, since we've been here for like 3 weeks now. We have a couple more weeks left here before we leave the US. And we have been giving him goat's milk. We discovered that he likes goat's milk. And I don't give it to him multiple times a day. I'll do it most nights as still a last like nighttime bottle. I'll warm up 4 ounces of goat's milk and give that to him, and that relaxes him, like especially if we see he's really like antsy and needs to just chill out a little bit before we go to bed. We'll give him some warmed milk, but we don't do that every night, and then we don't do it really throughout the day. Maybe just depending on the day, we're like, oh, let's just give him a little bit of milk. But he just drinks water. That's all he's been drinking, and he's fine. He's eating a lot, so much. He's eating so much, and still I think he's teething. I don't know if it's the canines. He's got 8 teeth, by the way. I forgot to mention that. He's got 8 teeth, 4 on the top, 4 on the bottom. The canines are teasing their way out. That's where we're at, and I guess it feels cool to know that I have my body back, and my hormones can begin to, I don't know how long this takes, but my hormones will level out, and I'll just be like back to my normal self until I get pregnant again, which who knows when that will be. We're taking it one thing at a time, with just like moving and starting over like let's get settled and then we'll go from there. But again, it's just that knowing like, oh, this is it, you know? Some women breastfeed until they get pregnant with their second, and this was just my experience, my journey, and it was nothing like I thought it would be, but it was everything I needed. I learned so much, whether I wanted to or not. And I just have this confidence now that like, okay, praying for a better experience second time around, and praying, you know, my baby doesn't have the same issue. If it does happen, then I feel at least mentally equipped with the fortitude and the actual like how to navigate, you know, that issue or the recovery or just all the challenges that do come up with breastfeeding. So I'm grateful for that. I feel stronger as a mom and more capable as a mom, you know, whenever I have more children. I hope that this was helpful. I wish I found this when I was going through it, because I just found like not many women had this specific experience of just having to pump once a day, or just the biting, you know, or having to wean so quickly. And yeah, I just want this to be helpful. I just felt called to make this video. I've been wanting to film this video essentially since I was 2 weeks, I guess, post-weaning. Or even before, actually, before I even weaned. I wanted to talk about my breastfeeding journey in general, because it's just, there's a lot to unpack. And there's, you know, some tips sprinkled in throughout this video, and I really hope it's a blessing. And whether you're about to be a mom, or you're already a mom, or I don't know why you're here, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. Subscribe if you feel called. I'm going to be doing more videos coming up of just my journey of moving to the Philippines and starting over there, and our life there, what we're going to be up to, but also more videos on just motherhood and things that I've learned as a woman and health stuff. Who knows, but there's going to be more in the future, and I hope you'll stick around. So again, thank you for watching, and I will see you when I see you.